Singing Terralaya, singing Terralaya at a tree, for we're bound for
My full name is Manfred William Viars. Now that's a good Australian name, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. Just a bit of history, okay? Now my father was born in just outside of Moscow in a place called Kolomna, but he's actually Latvian, right? Now my mother was born in Poland, but she's actually a German, and I was born in Germany, and I'm 100% mongrel bred. Now, for good or ill, the things that parents do have impact on their kids. Let me just share some impacts of my life. My dad, in lunchtimes, would go scouring bookstores quite slow and deliberately for books to clutch. And he'd frequently find, to enlighten his mind, books by Banjo, Lawson and such. Bringing home what he'd found, reaching us all spellbound, reading loud after we'd all been fed, he'd express with his face, hands all over the place, letting into whatever he read. It seems funny somehow, looking back on it now, hearing Banjo with accent, exotic. But we didn't know, and it was quite a show he presented to us so hypnotic. On outer Barku where churches are few and men of religion are scanty, on the road sailed on Karat, set by folk that are last, and Michael McGee had a shanty. On those stories we thrive because they'd all come alive from the lips of that master, Jim. And that's how my dad, back when I was a lad, introduced me to Banjo back then.
Spirits and I, we're old friends. I waddled along through the cemetery gates begging me legs to behave. Everything went pretty well, so I thought, till I fell down a newly dug grave. At first I thought I'd landed in hell and ended my earthly career, and I sniffed like a hound for the sulphurous fumes, expecting old Nick to appear. But reason returned, and I staggered erect, me prison so dark to survey. I checked all my bones for a fracture or two, but everything functioned okay. I made a feeble attempt to get out, but it took no more than a glance to show me that in my condition I hadn't the ghost of a chance. So I thought I'd lay off for a while, and when I woke sober and fit, I would surely come up with a first-class idea that'd get me out of this pit. Just then, I heard oncoming steps. It seemed too good to be true, but before I could prove it or offer advice, in the grave there were suddenly two. It happened he fell at the grave's other end with no one to cushion his fall, and he jumped to his feet with a high-pitched yell attempting to scale the wall. The chap was at pains to be up and away, as the capers he cut clearly told, and he jumped, and he scrambled and jumped again, but his fingers and toes wouldn't hold. I'd not yet spoken. I hardly a chance the way he cavorted about, but I had to admire the way that he sought to sever all ties and get out. Of course, he thought there was no one near. He thought he was there all alone. And I got the idea it had entered his head that this grave was becoming his own. I felt rather sad for this poor little chap, now acting a little distraught, and I thought he'd relax if I gave him the drum that he wasn't alone, as he thought. So I walked up behind him and tapped on his back as he paused for another wild beat. "You can't make it, mate," I breathed in his ear. But by the Lord Harry, he did! And to the toilet they would go to prove that they were cool. And when their lips were painted thick, this daring Year 6 class would then put lipstick kisses on the toilet's mirrored glass. "It takes me hours to clean this glass," the janitor complained. "And next day it's back there again, so nothing's really gained." As principal, I pondered on the problem with this glass, and then decided to the toilets I would march this class. Now girls, your lipstick mirrored kisses really are quite mean, for it takes Jan, our janitor, so many hours to clean. I'll now get Jan to demonstrate what cleaning is involved, and hopefully when you see this, our problem will be solved. Well, Jan picked up the toilet brush. Don't get ahead of me. Go toilet bowl roll. And with the water on the brush, that mirrored in a scrub. Girls' hands went trembling to their lips, their eyes on glass transfixed. And I don't need to tell you folk, the problem then was fixed.
I do believe if you love or being loved by a dog, this may have some merit for you. And it's a pretty serious one, and it's personal, deeply personal to me, and it's called Tasha, A Gift of a Dog. And it came about because we lived for 40 years out the back on a couple of acres, and we built the driveway, mixed it all in a wheelbarrow, about 100 bloody yards, but then I found out right at the end of it that you could hire a bloody concrete mixer for $5. But back in those days you could buy 10 bags of cement for $5, and we didn't have a lot of change, I can tell you. So when I was gurneying off this drive to try and sell the house, I found this little cork ring. And I can remember I was about 30, and I really don't know why you do, but you get very cranky, because we used to make sure the kids didn't walk over our bloody concrete, but we put the dog outside, and of course it left this little footprint. And when I gurneyed it off, it took me back and I wrote this poem. A puppy's paw print placed in concrete nearly 40 years ago. Oh, I was dirty when she did it, but no more, how could I know? Now that every time I see it, takes me back to reminisce about our 2 young girls who lived here, and our Tasha I still miss. She came a gift. We didn't want this golden fluffy ball. We had some ant for 6 months old, we'd no love to share it all, so we thought, but as dogs do, they creep inside your heart. And when our Carly came along, it's much too late to part. 2 darling daughters and their mate. They like their musketeers, they're all for one and one for all. We never held no fears of a snake that may be taken, or perhaps they'd wind up drowned. No, you wouldn't entertain the thought old Tasha was around. She's like some hairy shadow. She'd not let them out of sight. Oh, she'd cry when they went off to school. But the welcome home at night, she'd be leaping, barking, grinning. And though some may think it's dark, we all swore when they got back from camp. That big old dog, she laughed. But the years fly by too swiftly. Young girls grow, move out and wed. And all too soon their kids were wriggling, giggling, snuggling in their bed. Then I'd walk them up the driveway to the spot where Tasha trod. Tell them tales of 2 princesses and their dog had gone to God. Then I'd show them where she's buried, by the fence in our backyard. Hey, Gramps, how come she's here? And up there too, well, it all got far too hard. So I promptly changed the subject, and I herd them all inside and show them photos of their mums from babyhood to pride. But our Tasha kept appearing, and it soon became a game. They'd flick quickly through the pictures till they'd spot her. Shout a name, they cried, "Tasha, Tasha, Tasha!" like their mothers used to call. And I'd half expect old Tasha to come flashing down the hall, slipping, scratching on the polished boards. She'd let out her worried bark, yeah. Wherever you look round our place, old Tasha left a mark. 3 great mates who grew together. Sadly, one grew old too fast. Wasn't easy telling young girls why such friendship cannot last. I grow older, tears come quicker. Hindsight wisdom's far too late. I should have told you that I loved you more while you were here, old mate. There's a green patch in our paddock that I talk to when I mow, and that puppy's paw print set in concrete. Nearly 40 years ago. Thank you, Dad.
Well, I've got to tell you, I'm in a flaming stickle, because our culture's in a pickle. Now, what started as a trickle are imports by the ton. I see how youth continue twitching while their grandma's in the kitchen baking biscuits, and I'm itching to whack someone on the scone. Aussie kids with foreign struts are surely going to come a gutter if their styles are followed by what's a mimic foreign lot of fluff. Spare me days and pass a sandwich. Are we losing our great language? Are we slaves to other lands which dictate how we strut our stuff? There you go. As an Aussie, I can sit here in my cosy while I whack that flaming mozzie with my multi-purpose thong, and then continue with my bragging while I give me mates a ragging. Their superstructure sagging, but we really get along. Yeah, I'm going to chuck a wobbly, and I'll cop a beating probably, but I remember talking properly. Am I only Pat Malone? And what's wrong with words like Sheila, Cobber, mate? No need to feel ashamed. Our sayings will reveal a mob who stand out on their own. Have one for Ron, because he's no shonky. Bottos when you feel wonky. Oh, and don't say ass, because there's no donkey. Oh, and don't put the bite on for a loan. We got names for blokes like Bazza, Dazza, Tomo, Jono, Chook and Gazza. Sheila's too, with Kazza, Shazza, Shirls, Lizzie, Mel and Joan. I love our words. Yeah, I'm picky. Beauty Butler, Chuckasicki. For beer, Beauty Butler, Chuckasicki. For beer or fishing, grab a tinny. Words and sayings for the books. Stubbies, drunk or worn, and Rego, Furpy, Yakky Yonks and Yobbo. Curse each time you use the servo. Oh, and don't forget to feed the chooks. Now all those words are just a sample of our language, rich and ample. How can we let others trample on our culture with delight? Oh, one more thing before I cark it. Well, they tell me where to park it. I can't help but to remark, if it's Australian, it's all right.